In this video, we're going to be talking about the 8 steps to reinvent yourself, or more so discover and create the highest version of yourself. Now, I've been gone from YouTube and a little bit of social media for probably a little bit around a month now, and I haven't been posting consistently, and you guys have probably been wondering, Justin, what have you been doing? Where have you been at? And I'm going to be honest, in this video, I kind of want to be a honesty conversation with you guys because I love just sitting down and having these types of talks to know that some of you guys are probably struggling with the same things as well. But to be honest, the last month of my life has been pretty rough. I've fallen into addiction in some parts of my life, struggling with keeping myself healthy in the discipline aspects of my life. One thing that I have done is I've been working on an album. One part of my life, I've always been in music, and trading has given me the opportunity to explore other passions in my life. So I was recently in Quebec in Canada working on an album that I've just been absolutely loving, and so I'll share that with you guys in the coming months. But this video is more so about being honest with yourself. And this video is also me being honest with myself and realizing, like, Justin, there's times in your life and there's times in other people's lives where you know that this is not where I want to be. And somehow you end up there and you're like, how did I get here? I do not want to be here anymore. What is the steps to get back to this? Or what is the steps to get out of this somehow hole that I am in right now? And I know that many of you guys have probably felt this in your life where you have been stuck in some place. You felt kind of trapped, whether it was addiction or a certain relationship in your life or just whatever it is. There's always a point where you will feel like this. And so this video is about, I was able to recognize sort of this state that I was in my life in the last month, and write down really the 8 things that helped me to reinvent myself or get me back to the highest version of myself. So let's jump in and let's start with what number 1 is. Now, number 1 I called the awakening, and this is about recognizing your current true self. Now, why this is important is you have to understand what you are looking at from a third-person perspective. When you find yourself in a tireless and in a hole almost where you're just not happy with where your position is, you have to disconnect from yourself. You have to be able to look at the situation, look at who you are, look at the habits, not from you, but from an outside infinite observer perspective that is going to be honest with yourself and say, Justin, this is not good. The fact that, you're not getting out of bed, or you're not, working out, or you're not working on the projects that you have, or you're not, putting effort into these individuals or whatever it is, you have to be completely brutally honest with yourself and recognize from a third person perspective, like, this is a problem. And one of the things that you also need to recognize too, though, is that's not an invitation for you to just absolutely bash yourself. And I think that's a problem where a lot of people get into. Sometimes it gets to a point where you need to bash yourself, and that's a thing that you got to realize too, is like, most of the time, this is not something that you should just, be absolutely hitting yourself down about. And something I see so many people have this problem is whenever they find themselves in times when they're upset about their situation, they're not the happiest, they're not the most fulfilled, they almost like use themselves as a punching bag to take it out on themselves. And this first step of awakening is being able to see it from a new perspective and say, okay, this is how my life has been lived in the last month. I'm doing this. I am not happy with it. I'm doing this. Okay, I'm happy with this. I'm doing this. This needs to be cut out. It's being able to recognize, what are the things I'm happy with about myself right now? What are the things I am not happy with about myself right now? And being able to recognize, what do I stand for? What do I not stand for? And what is the direction that I need to go in right now? Because this obviously isn't working. This obviously is working. Let's cut out all of this and stick to this and continue to, feed into whatever that is. So the first step is recognizing. Take a piece of paper, jot down everything about your life right now, who you are as an individual, what you don't like, what you do like, and just being able to understand what the position is to begin with. Number 2 is vision and direction, and this is something that I've realized over time. Without a without a goal, without a clear vision, there's nowhere to go. You are basically stuck in limbo. And what I've found is, if I don't have a clear goal, if I don't have a clear vision that I'm working towards every single day, that there's a reason for me to wake up, take one step after the other, working towards some sort of goal, if that's not there, I'm in a state of limbo. I'm just drifting through life. And now, don't get me wrong, I think that there's periods of time that is okay in a healthy manner. But as a young man and as individuals like yourself that are watching this, that have desires, that know that you're not currently at the point you want to be, it's like, you know, this is not where you want to end up. And you can't just stick in some sort of limbo state, floating day by day, waking up, smoking weed, and then, going to, fuck off one thing. There's no fulfillment. It's all cheap dopamine. It's all cheap acts of fulfillment. And that's not why we are meant to be here. That's not how we're supposed to live. You will never live the life and feel the feeling that you want to feel living that way. And trust me, let me tell you, you don't need to do it for yourself. I've done it. I have done it. I have lived parts of my life where I've literally woken up, smoked weed all day, and have done nothing. And there's been moments in my life where I wake up every single day, cold plunge, work out in the morning, work on my businesses, interact with people, preach around, positive energy. I have been on every side of the coin, and I can tell you that the other one that I just said, the first one, that's not what you want. It's so easy to fall into these cheap traps. And again, many of you guys don't need to be told this. I'm sure that you guys know. It's like, yeah, I probably know that that's not going to fulfill me. I probably know that smoking weed all day isn't going to fulfill me. I probably know that, watching porn isn't going to fulfill me, and doing all these things that are holding you back from being at your highest self. But the problem is not recognizing that that's not what the problem is. The problem is you can't stop. And being able to get out of that is simply a point in time in which you have to break the habits in some way. And it needs to be some sort of pattern disruptive thing, a change of environment. Like a lot of the times for me, one of the biggest things that helps me is just a change of environment for a week, driving somewhere, staying somewhere else. And honestly, again, you don't really need to do this. It's more so you have to decide the person that you currently are in your brain and if you want to shift it to the highest version of yourself. It's about adapting, reinventing yourself to a new identity. And one of the other numbers and one of the other steps that we're going to go through later is the idea of you can't be attached to who you are right now, and you can't be attached to who you will become as well. So number 2, we'll wrap up on this one again. You have to have some sort of vision. You have to have some sort of goal. What are you working towards? What do you want? Is it a business that you're working on? Is it trading? Is your goal to become profitable, to get a bunch of payouts? Is your goal to, get fit? All of these things need to be a part of one another as well. And these things are a part of that vision, that goal. So every day that you wake up, there's something that is pushing you forward. And without that, you're stranded. Number 3 is cutting out the noise. Dopamine detox. No mindless scrolling, no weed, no alcohol, only things that actually serve you real. The dopamine trap keeps people absolutely weak. Cutting these things, you have to keep a clear-headed mind. I have seen so many times in my life where I have been at such a high state and almost get to a point where the clarity is too much, where I almost purposely self-destruct or like numb myself to a point where my intellect has to get drained, and it's the worst feeling ever. I like to consider myself like in a very humbling way. Like I don't say this to like brag or like in a very humbling way. Like I like to perceive myself as someone who is an intellectual. Like I like having intellectual conversations. I like talking about hard ideas. I like really thinking and discussing with people. Like everything that I do really is about pushing myself intellectually and creating things and working with things, whether that's, with a business, software, music, trading, whatever it is. But there's been times in which the cheap dopamine is almost like I'm purposely self-destructing, and I don't understand why. It's like we find ourselves in times where it's like, I know this is not good for me, and yet I still do it. And again, that's biblical stricture. It's like I do what I know I shouldn't do, and yet I somehow do what I do what I know I shouldn't do, but I don't do what I know I should do. Or I don't. That's not the exact scripture, but it's being able to recognize like what are the things in my life that are really what seems the normal thing. And a lot of the times it gets to a point where they just become too normal. And when you find yourself immediately waking up, scrolling on social media, like you just grab your phone, scroll on social media, that's the first thing that you do in the morning. You're constantly, drinking alcohol throughout the week, or smoking weed, or pushing, priorities and things to the other side. It almost feels like just a lack of control. It is feminine energy. Any of you men that are watching this, it is feminine, like that. And I'm just being straight up. If you want to be in control, smoking weed all day, scrolling on social media is a feminine thing. Like, you will never feel in control and be a true man and a leader around the people around you in that state, and if that's how you take control of your body. And I'm saying this to myself right now because I live my life, and one of the things that I try to take pride in is I want to live my life to be a leader. I want to help those around me. I want to inspire those around me. I want to help people become the highest versions of themselves. And when I see myself in periods of my life where I am fallen into a state like this, I know that I can't perfectly and purposely serve the people around me to the highest potential when I'm in that state. And that's almost like the biggest disservice to God, and it's a terrible, terrible feeling to be in that state. It is a terrible feeling to know that you have been at the highest version of yourself and that you're not currently at the highest version of yourself. Knowing what that looks like and having been there and then not being there is a terrible feeling, because you're like, okay, how the fuck did it happen? First of all, how did I get back down here, and how do I get back up? And again, this video is for, number one, me to be like, if you're struggling with this, you're not alone. And I make this video because you guys have only seen a certain version of me. You guys got to understand, I'm a human being. I'm always going to want to share the most reality, truth, anything that I can help you guys, because this isn't all sunshine and rainbows. You guys look on social media and see these influencers living the most grand life, doing the most crazy, things, but you don't see that this kind of stuff happens behind the scenes with everybody. And I want to share with you that you're not alone, whatever that you're going through right now. And you just need to be able to have a change in a perspective and an inspiration like this video and other videos, and people to tell you that you're not alone. Like, this content and everything that I make, I want to be real. I want you guys to really gain something out of it. And so we'll wrap up on this last little thing, and then we'll get into the other number. But remember, you have to cut out the noise. If there is unnecessary noise in your life that is just cheap dopamine, you cannot exchange the long-term desires. You cannot exchange those moments where you just decide to, cheat. It weakens you. It weakens your soul. It weakens your heart. It weakens your perception to a higher state. You can't do it. You have to learn to cut it out and control yourself. Number 4, gain new knowledge. One of the things that I've learned when I find myself in a seasonal shift or a hole that I'm trying to get out of, or just, I feel like I need new inspiration, I seek new knowledge. I read new books. I revisit old ones. I read new mindset. I watch, mindset videos to gain new perspective. I talk to trusted people I look up to in my life. But gain new knowledge is number 4. And the reason why I think gaining new knowledge is so important is because the times in my life where I have been in a seasonal shift, where I'm a little bit uncertain in the path that is ahead of me. And it's like, even when I'm working on business, it's like, guys, I'm not always fully clear on where I'm going. I've made a bunch of money in my life with trading. I'm building software in other companies. I'm making an album right now. Like, I want to do so many different things in my life. I'm not certain about them. I'm not. And that's just being completely honest with you guys. And what you have to understand is, during these periods of time, you always want to be seeking inspiration. You want to be seeking energy, because the things in our life that are around us that give us those bursts of energy, we can find. It's not like, they come out of thin air, and sometimes they do, and that's in a magical, great experience. But a lot of the times I'll read new books, and for example, there's actually some sitting on the desk right here. Like Transurfing. Actually, these are both Transurfing books. But any book, I remember when I was about to move out of Idaho, and I took a trip to Sardinia, and I was reading Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And at that point in time, I had never read any of those books before. I've never read a Wayne Dyer book. And I read that book, and it just completely changed the trajectory of my life, to be honest. Not even just the move, not even my mindset, not even anything, but my entire life. Because sometimes when we are in these states, something so simple as just a new idea, a new perspective of how we view it can completely change everything. You ever wonder why you've sometimes been in a very, hard state? You've been sad, you've been depressed, or whatever it is. And sometimes all it takes is just one talk. Sometimes it takes one conversation with somebody, a friend, or somebody coming up to you on the street and, talking to you or whatever it is. All it takes is sometimes just one of those little things. And so reading, all it takes a lot of the times is a new idea, a new perspective of things. And I always like to say, if you are in a part and time in which you are looking to reinvent yourself, whether you are in a hole or whether you're at ground zero, it doesn't matter. Again, this video is like, you don't have to be fucked right now. Like, you don't have to be in a bad place to gain knowledge out of this. I want you to be like, this is for anybody who's looking to improve. Number 4, gain new knowledge. Seek something that you are curious about, new ideas about perspectives of life, or new ideas about how to run a business, and go seek. It's like one thing people always say, Justin, who's your mentor? Justin, who's your mentor? How do I find a good mentor? You want to know how to find a good mentor? Read a book. There are people that have made billions of dollars, millions of dollars, who are the smartest people in the world, who are the most wise people in the world, who have been the biggest war leaders in the world, the biggest generals, the biggest scientists, and they have written books. Those are my mentors. There's so much knowledge out there to inspire you, to help you gain a new perspective of things, to just grow your intellect and grow the person that you are, and see things from a new perspective, and find new interests. Like I've read books that I would have never been interested in, and have found interests of it. I would have, like, for example, I used to be super, super messy, and sometimes in my life I'm absolutely messy, don't get me wrong. But I read a book about, it's actually, again, the only reason I'm talking about it because it's right here. I'm not going to act like I popped out of thin air, but I saw this. It's essentialism. And it's the idea of being an essentialist over more things. It's the idea of less is more. And sometimes it also makes me think of like how it helped me be more organized in my life and be more selective of the things in my life, which I never had thought of before. And so number 4 in this rule is about seeking new knowledge, seeking new perspective. So let's talk about number 5. Number 5 is protecting your energy, something that is so important. Escaping the fear matrix. This is about cutting out negative people, all of the energy vampires in your life that are sucking out all of that energy. Again, you know who that is if there is one in your life. Stop consuming the news. Stop consuming fear-based content, and create your own personalized reality. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest. I want to delete Twitter so bad. I still post on Twitter. I post a lot of things on Twitter that I love Twitter, but the amount of absolute pure garbage that I've seen on Twitter. It's almost like I wake up, I drink my coffee, and I open my phone, and I'm seeing somebody get ran over by a truck. Like, what's going on? Like, why is that the first thing that I'm seeing in the morning? And this is a perfect example about protecting your energy. Some of you guys aren't even realizing this. Like, you realize, like, why am I in a bad mood? Why do I not feel inspired? Why do I not feel good? It's because we consume this absolute garbage every single day of our lives. We don't even realize that how much time that we actually spend scrolling, seeing things that we are not meant to see. We have never in our lives been in a position where we're able to see these things so frequently, in such at easy access. We're not supposed to be seeing thousands of other people's lives and thousands of tragedies that happen around the world in a single second. It's not supposed to. It's the most unhealthy, unhuman experience that you could possibly feel. And that's why your soul hurts. And that's why it gives such negative energy, because it's not what we're meant to experience. And so, number 1, you have to recognize it and you have to cut it out. Get rid of all of the negative posts, social media. Get rid of this is something you have to be honest with yourself, especially with the people in your lives. Who are you hanging around? What is their energy? Are they someone that you look up to, or are they someone that you don't look up to and you don't really want to be around? And something that I found in my life is the last year of my life, really, I have not really been around people that inspire me truly, that really are doing better than me, that I look up to, that I trust. In the last year of my life, I haven't been around those people, and that's something that I'm taking that this part of my life I've been reflecting on, that I was writing about. And I haven't been doing that, and it makes so much sense as to like where I'm at in the things that have happened throughout the year, is because those examples, again, you are simply an equal of the sum of people that you hang out with. And so it's all about the energy that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with positive energy people that are pushing you to be great, that are not drama focused, that are smart, that are intellectuals, that want to have hard conversations, these are people you want to be around. If you are around people that simply just cause drama, that are saying, dumb shit all the time, and like just there's no substance, there's no energy that feeds you. And again, it's like you don't have to really think about it. When you're in the room with them, do you feel bright and happy, or do you feel like, oh, get me out of here? Pretty easy to figure out. So that's number 6 or number 5, I believe, is protecting your energy. Let's get into the next one. Number 6 is the idea of scarcity versus abundance. One thing that I've noticed in my life is any of the times that I fall out of an abundance mindset and I shift into a scarcity mindset, a lot of the times everything goes wrong. I become more fearful, have more anxiety, things in my life more like go wrong. It's harder to achieve things, and it's because when you're in a scarcity mindset, you're not being able to pull from the infinite source. And one thing you have to recognize is you have access to an infinite source of ideas, creativity, energy, and you have to be in an abundant mindset to be able to pull from it. And something that I've recognized recently in my life that really reassured me, or not reassured me, but kind of like just was a little pop-up, like a reminder in my life about the idea of scarcity and abundance. And it actually has to do with making music. There's times in which when I was in Quebec, it was like we were making 2 songs a day, like fully built out 2 songs a day. And the ideas were not scarce. The ideas were abundant. And there was nothing that was different about me or someone else that was doing it. Is I was being a vessel to pull from a source of these ideas. It was almost like there was nothing that I wasn't trying to come up with ideas. It was almost like I was listening, feeling, and ideas would just come out. And we just make and make and make and make and make. Now, if I was in the mindset of music is hard, I can't make a song. Like, I want to make this so good. I can't do this. Then when I'm trying to come up with ideas, when I'm trying to do the action, it's a lot harder. The actual energy that it takes just from the perspective of abundance versus scarcity is always going to be so much different. And being in a scarcity mindset is extremely dangerous. It really is dangerous because it takes you from being swift and actionable to being very cut off and almost like overly contemplative of unnecessary decisions. Excuse me, especially with money too. You can't have a scarcity mindset when it comes to money. When you shift to an abundant mindset, creativity and wealth follows. And a part of and how you be in an abundant mindset is simply by being grateful. And one of the biggest things that can get you to this point is the idea of practicing gratitude. That everything that you want, everything that you need in your life is right here in this moment. The money, the happiness, the success, everything that you want that you don't have right now, that you think that you don't have, or, oh, if I had this, then I would be happy. Oh, if I had this, then I would be successful. Or if I had this, if I was in this position, then, oh, I could do this. If you scrap all that bullshit from your mind, you're able to pull from an abundant source because there's no scarcity. There's nothing that is out of play that's in the way of causing you to not be what you want to be. Everything that you want, the happiness that you want, the stillness that you're seeking, the fulfillment that you're seeking is nowhere to be found but in the present moment and right now. And when you simply be grateful for what you have and continue to thank God for the decisions that have been made in your life and the perspective and where you are and the things that you have, and you're able to pull from an abundant source. And it's almost like life will continue to give you what you continue to put out into the world. And again, it always says like your outer world will reflect what your inner world is. If your inner world is a scarce mindset, your outer world will show that right back at you, right? Money will be scarce. Happiness will be scarce. It's going to be a commodity. And that's not how you want to live your life. You want to pull from that abundant source of life. And you can absolutely do it. And all you need to do to be able to do that is, number one, have the perception of it and think of it. Reprogram yourself to know that that is actually a true fundamental truth of the universe, is that you can absolutely pull from this source of life, creativity, and be able to do so throughout your life. Once you realize that everything that you are seeking and need is simply in the moment, it's able to clear your mind of the things in which we always are constantly seeking for more. And there's times in which my life, it's like, fuck, I need to make more money, or fuck, I need to, do this more, or, oh, I need more of this, I need more of this. And then I realize it's like, okay, like when I can actually clear my head, get rid of the bad detox, all the bad frequency, the bad energy, and I simply sit still for a couple days without any of that extra things. And I sit down and I'm like, it's actually not that bad right now. And I'm actually pretty grateful for where I am. And a lot of the times, that's really all we need. A lot of the problems that we find ourselves having with ourselves, stress, anxiety, when we're like, oh my God, I'm not happy with where we are right now. A lot of it is simply the outside things that we're feeding ourselves. It's the bad social media, the bad dopamine, the weed, the alcohol, the bad, just shit that we see. It's all of that that's really impacting the reality. And when we simply clear our minds fully and get back to a new perception of what that reality is, we're able to realize it's actually not that bad. And I'm kind of chilling. And that's a big reminder to be aware of the things that you are feeding yourself. So let's get into number 7. Number 7 is life is seasonal. Stop over-identifying with your lows and your highs. You have to understand that life moves in seasons and moves in chapters. There will always be highs and lows. It's a part of the process, a part of life. Accepting the seasons of life makes it easier to move throughout them. Now, there's periods of my life where I'm at absolute highs. I'm maybe traveling more with friends. I'm, fulfilled and abundant. It's like, oh my God, everything is perfect. It's great. And then, maybe 6 months later, 3 months later, 2 months, a month, who knows? Sometimes it's all over the place. Just know, like, it's never steady. Don't let anybody tell you on social media that it's like, oh, we're smooth blazing. No, never happens. It's like, how can 1 second I be so fulfilled and so clear on the vision and so clear on the path ahead of me, and then like 1 week later it's like completely gone. It's like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. And I'm saying this to be honest with you guys. Like, I struggle with this as well, and it's completely normal. And the best things to really do in those moments is like understand, okay, life moves in chapters, life moves in seasons. I'm going to be able to go through them and being able to navigate them, and simply like just remind yourself, it's like, it's not going to be like this forever. Like, what is in my control? What is out of my control? Recognize it's not going to be like this forever. And simply do what you can do in the moment to better yourself. And simply be patient and practice the idea of gratitude. And I guarantee you will attract slowly but surely the things that you want in your life. Number 8 is identity shifts. This is about letting go of the old you. Now, you have to realize you aren't who you were last year, last month, or even yesterday. People trap themselves in their old identities, getting rid of limited beliefs from childhood as well. And that's a really big thing. One of the things that I see people always talk about is like, oh, I'm shy. Oh, I'm not really book smart. I'm not really street smart. I'm afraid of heights. Like, when you realize that we've kind of created almost these underlying truths of ourselves throughout our life ever since childhood. The more that kind of life goes on, we tell ourselves these things like, oh, I'm not very smart, or I'm not an active person, I'm not a sports person, I'm not a reading person, I'm not a this person. And we like keep drilling into ourselves these random facts of just nothing that have really no substance behind them, that gets in the way of the version of ourselves that we want to become. And so one of the parts about reinventing ourselves or getting back to where we are is completely stripping the idea that we have of ourselves, and more so being fluid almost in a way. And now, this is not to just say, completely revamp. I mean, if that's the case, then go for it. But guide yourself using a moral compass. But This is more so about letting yourself blossom. I think so many people get scared about who they are and almost feel lost when they don't know who they are. And I think people focus too much on wanting to know who they are instead of trying to find who they are. And that is really the biggest thing that I've noticed of the people that I've seen in my life really have that struggle with a vision of self-identity. Is it's because they do more of trying to find who they are instead of finding who they are through the process of walking the steps of life. And I think the more that you seek learning, the more that you seek knowledge, the more that you seek experiences in your life, that you will find out who that is. But to make a change and to better yourself, to achieve the higher version of yourself, you have to let go of the old one, the old habits, the old ideas, the old friends, the old videos that you would watch, the old everything. To achieve what you want, you have to cut all that out. And a simple thing, like one thing that I've noticed that when a clear sign that I fell back from my higher self is I used to play video games all the time as a kid. I used to play Valorant professionally. I used to play Fortnite professionally. And when I moved to Scottsdale, I did not have a PC yet. I bought a Mac because I was like, I'm not going to game. And I haven't gamed, and I haven't been playing games, again, in my old self, my new self. Haven't played games in 8 or 9 months, like completely. And I recently was like, oh, I'm kind of bored. Like, I'm going to go buy a PC. And I bought like a $5,000 new PC. And I played one game of Fortnite, and I was like, why the fuck did I buy this thing? Because I realized, like, I just got to a point where I let my old self kind of come back. And this is just an example. There's nothing wrong with playing video games. This is just, like, for myself. I was like, I did not need to buy this because, like, I just had the itch to get back into video games. And I realized it wasn't really me anymore. Like, I had outgrown it so much that it really wasn't me anymore. And yet I still was seeking pleasure in it, knowing that I've been able to achieve such higher pleasure of eternal wisdom, of my connectionship with the Lord, with the people that I help around me, creating value and living a more true, fulfilling, real value life. Like, that's real dopamine, not the fake shit. And when I went back to the fake shit, I was like, what the fuck is this? Why did I do this? And those are the kind of the little reminders that I have in my life where it's like, okay, I kind of fell a little bit, like, let's get back on track. But number 8, was that number 8? Yeah. Number 8, let go of your old self. You can't be attached to the habits and the identity that you currently have for yourself if you want to improve and level up. Number 9, the last one, you got to prioritize you, your health, your mind, your body. You have to prioritize you, your life. And again, this is going to sound selfish, and I'm going to be able to explain why it's not, but you have to cut everybody out. Your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your girlfriend, your everything. It is just you in here. And the reason why it just needs to be you in here is being you in here doesn't make your mom and dad and everything else not exist. They're still there, and you absolutely love them and adore them and are there for them. But the reason why this needs to be just you is because if it's not, there is no identity of you. If you are not just you and there are other things and other people and everybody else floating in that barrier, the identity of you slowly starts to drift because there's no control over what that is. And what I've found in my life is when people have come into my life that I deeply care about, and I start to care more about them than I do the identity of myself, it almost like the identity of myself slowly starts to blur. And that's when I start to slip in certain ways. And you have to be able to focus and prioritize yourself. You are the main character. You are the leader. You are the person that you are destined to be. And you have to keep that vision. I have always lived my life with the feeling in my heart, in my soul, that I am destined for greatness. And anything that falls short of that is a terrible feeling. It's not a good feeling because I know that that's not what I am. That's not what I stand for. And it's not what I want to be. And that's a good thing. Like, you should feel that way when you are not doing the things that you know that you should be doing and the way and the actions and what you want to stand for. And so You have to be able to prioritize yourself, readjust your mindset, and say, this is who I am, and focus on yourself. Focus on your health, focus on your life, focus on your vision, focus on your goal, and get back to, sometimes we all need a little bit of isolation. In the times in my life where I have done the most work, where I've been the smartest, the most swift, the most intellectual, the most just... It's been in periods of isolation, and the times I've done the most work too. And again, going back to the idea of seasons and chapters, there are times when I am not like that. There are times in which I am not the most smart. I can't have, really, I can't talk a lot. I can't, give a lot because I might be lacking some of that energy. And then there's other times where I'm so pulling from that abundant source where I can just spit so much knowledge and do so much work and be so fulfilled. And other times I can't. And like this video is to show you guys, like, it's not always going to be sunshines and rainbows. If you've made it this far in the video, I want to say hopefully you got something out of this. You are not alone. Anything that you guys are going through right now, just know everybody else goes through the same things. You're not alone. If you have any questions, anything that you guys need help with, leave a comment. I'll try my best to respond to those that you guys leave. But if you guys made it this far in the video, comment the word higher self. Comment the word higher self if you've made it this far in the video. Leave some comments about some videos that you guys want to see. Now that I'm back, we're going to be moving to get better than ever. Leave some comments. What videos do you guys want to see from me? More mindset, more trading, more music, more anything. Let me guys know, and I will see you guys in the next video.